So, what burning questions have you got today? We've got a few things we can cover. The Astarter opportunity, we're good to talk about. Um, we've got another one that's just opened up today for some select people, delegators to the fluid pool, to get a buy into the Genius Yield token launch, Astarter's token launch, of course. And then yeah, there's other things going on in the ecosystem which are quite interesting. So, but I like to engage everybody from the beginning. So if you've got any questions, anything you want to figure out, go on, Paul.
One that was around the Astarter, you showed Eternl, and you've got obviously other. We've got two, or just created an additional wallet in Eternl. Want to transfer tokens from one to the new wallet. How do you do that internally?
Okay, cool. Good example. Let's work it through actually doing it. So, for anybody who doesn't know yet, Eternl is a DeFi wallet built on the for the Cardano blockchain. It is community developed, so it's not from one of the founding organizations who built Cardano. It's not IOG, not Emergo, not Cardano Foundation, but it's from the Eternl team, who are good developers, been in the space a long time. Their wallet rose to prominence in the community as being the most functional, most reliable when they started overtaking the features that were available in the official wallets from like Emergo produced Yoroi wallet. And that's actually very limited in terms of functionality now compared to the community wallets. And these wallets are operating on the blockchain, which is open and public. So as soon as there's an issue in a wallet, everybody knows about it. So it makes it a very trustless environment. You can verify all these transactions. You can see if they're accurate. If their wallets are doing anything bad at all, the community will come down on them. Like, the word will be out there instantaneously. So it's a good place to develop trust in some software. So Eternl Wallet I've used for a year. It's very strong. Just get the screen share going. I want this one. There we go. Hello. So, you seeing that shared okay? Cool. So this is the Eternl Wallet interface. It's a little complicated. It looks busy, but it's full of information that you'll find relevant at various times as you go through it. It's actually very simple to use. So on the left here is a list of all the wallets I've set up within my Eternl wallet. And each of those can be an address on the blockchain where I store funds, and I can use each of those wallets for different purposes. And so I split things out into my areas of interest, whether that is personal related, whether it's when I'm helping a family member out with, or or I've got one for fluid pool activity, or I've got one for my Fluid 7 web development business activity. So I store them all on here, and I can partake in different opportunities, like initial stake pool offerings where tokens are released, and if you're delegating to a stake pool, a community stake pool on the blockchain, then you can pick up some additional bonus tokens, which you can get from Fluid Pool as well. We'll be covering that a bit later as well. So this is the Eternl interface. I've got 3 wallets unlocked at the moment, these 3 green lock ones. Actually, I'm just going to move the Discord screen over so I can see your face at the same time, Paul, and you can interact, ask the questions. So this is the 2 wallet interface. So I'll work between my staked ADA wallet and my Tom wallet. If I look at the staked ADA, that's one I've got selected. If I want to send some money from that into Tom, I can go over to send. And it's got this sort of shortcut interface underneath the main interface. So normally you just use send and receive addresses in most wallets. This one, because it's got this multi sort of wallet handling ability, you can choose one of your inter-account wallets, they're calling them, to send money between. So I'm going to send money to Tom. I'm going to send Tom some ADA. So when I do that and click send to account, it will pre-fill the receive address from Tom for me. So then I know that I'm going to be sending funds from my staked ADA wallet into this receive address, which is related to that Tom wallet. So I can click next, and then I can choose how much I'm going to send. I'm going to send 5 ADA, and I can click then next. I'll enter my spending passphrase, which I recommend having stored in a password manager like Bitwarden. Then you can sign that transaction. And you see it's popped up in the transactions list under pending. So you can see that is a transaction that I've just prepared to send 5 ADA from staked ADA to Tom. And Cardano, this is a fully informative wallet, so you can tell exactly what's going on. You don't have to worry about it for now, but the easiest thing to sort of keep track of is when you see a red number on the transaction, whether it's before you've signed or after you've signed, that means that it's a token or ADA leaving your wallet, and so that's the one you want to pay most attention to. You can also be sending native tokens like NFTs and things like that, and they typically stay white, but if they'll appear next to a red number as well. So anything that's red or anything that's next to a red number, you want to pay attention. That's what you're sending out of your wallet. So keep that in mind as you're forming transactions. And you can see that these sort of tags against the transaction, that's now on chain. It started off as pending, which was a kind of mustard color. On chain now means that it's moved from pending transaction, as in not being accepted into the public blockchain yet. It's now moved to on chain, so that has been accepted into the public blockchain. And so these are just my most recent transactions, and I've looked at them, I'm happy with them. I'm just going to remove all non-pending transactions. And if I want to see that transaction again, I can go back to history and I can check it here. So that's this latest transaction where I sent 5 ADA. And you can see it's 5.17. I can make that a bit bigger for you actually. So that 0.17 is the transaction fee charged by the Cardano blockchain. So that's like your bank fee just for operating on the network. And 0.17 ADA is 5 cents or something. So that's, you can send much smaller transactions without worrying about the transaction fee, as opposed to some of the other chains like Ethereum, which is the other massively popular chain, bigger than Cardano, but it costs you a minimum of about $5 to send any transactions. So you really think twice before you send. On Cardano, it's much cheaper, so you can do microtransactions quite without worrying about it, especially at the moment while the price is so depressed. So here it's got low written against it, which is a number of confirmations. So every node on the blockchain confirms that that is a legitimate transaction. It's been added in, checks out with all the other transactions that have been going on, and so it will move from low to medium to high confirmation over time. So it's got 8 confirmations at the moment. So this older one, it's got high confirmation, and that's had 4,000 confirmations. So that's how you know that your transaction is definitely on chain and being accepted by everybody. And once it's on chain, it can't really be rolled back in Cardano anyway. So it's been accepted and it's going through. So it's got fast finality in the Cardano blockchain. So now I can go and check my other wallet to see if that's turned up. So let's click on Tom and look at the transactions again. And you can see that Tom has received funds as its latest transaction, and it's green, so it means it's receiving funds into this wallet. And it's got 5 ADA, so you can see it's not including the 0.17 because that goes as a transaction fee out to back to the Cardano Foundation treasury, in fact. And so I've paid my 0.17 for the benefit of sending myself 5 ADA. There we go. That's the price of demonstration today, which is pretty cheap. Is that all clear for you, Paul?
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah?
No, that's great. Thanks, Jonathan.
Magic.
That's perfect.
Cool. And you can see now that's just moved from low to medium. So it's got 11 confirmations. So that means that 11 nodes are, yeah. I don't know exactly what that means. 11. Why 11? Because I'm on the Cardano blockchain, a block is propagated within 20 seconds, or new blocks released every 20 seconds, and propagated within 5 to be accepted. So yeah, I should figure that out really and come back and tell you. There we go. So that's use of a wallet sending ADA between accounts. And of course, all of this is run by no single entity. It's all fully decentralized. There's no one that can control and coerce this at all. So Cardano Foundation, into IOG, the guys who wrote the code for it, or Emergo, the private entity who's taken it to the commerce space, none of those can influence this without it going through some major governance decisions. So the whole way that it's architected at the moment, which is changing this coming 12 months, at the moment there is 7 keys that were created at the inception of the blockchain. 3 were given to IOG, or kept by IOG. 3 were given to Cardano Foundation, or 3 were given to Emergo, sorry, and 2 were given to Cardano Foundation. And so to make a change to the underlying rules of those, then you have to have all those keys agreeing. So at the moment you can't have, or 5 of the 7 of those keys agreeing. So at the moment, no single entity of those 3 can make the changes. Now that is becoming changing drastically. That's a sort of the most centralized part of the management of it, the governance of it at the moment. Now they're all really good actors, and their incentive is to spread this out to everybody. It's designed to be a decentralized blockchain, and so this coming 12 months, they're starting. It was announced at the Cardano Summit and at Scottfest, which happened the same long weekend, that they are building a members-based organization. So this members-based organization will have community members in. So I've applied to it, and it can have large, like COOs of large organizations, like CZ from Binance. He might apply to be on the members-based organization. And if you're actually contributing time to the ecosystem, which I do, and I'm participating in Project Catalyst, which I'll talk about as well, then I may get a seat on that members organization board for my time that I'm giving up. If it's somebody like CZ who runs a centralized exchange, then they will pay for their place on the board. And so this is a way to try and engage as many people as possible who have got a vested interest in the blockchain itself, to then start being responsible for implementing changes decided by the community. So Project Catalyst is a small voting system where what's a large monetary value fund is used to pay for the development of projects all around the ecosystem. And it's a fund managed by Cardano Foundation. That treasury is topped up by the transaction fee. So just as you saw 0.17, I paid 0.17 ADA for that transaction. 20% of that transaction goes into the Project Catalyst treasury. And then Project Catalyst is anybody can submit a proposal to Project Catalyst. And if your idea gets voted on by anybody who holds ADA, and you win sufficient votes to be funded, then you are given money from that Catalyst treasury to go and develop that solution. So it could be just running meetups for your local community to promote Cardano. It could be running the summit events like we just had a couple of weeks ago. You could run a local iteration of that and receive funding for it from Project Catalyst. Or you could say, I'm a developer, I'm going to build a website and hold articles, and I can get funding for that from Catalyst. Or you could be have an idea on a project you want to build out, like, so one of the largest projects asked for $1 million from Project Catalyst. They didn't get funded, and it's just as well because they've subsequently folded. So that was the um, Orbis group project. So they had funding from outside, from venture capitalists, to the tune of about 10 million in collaboration with another project. Um, so from C Fund and Three Arrows Capital. And they also asked for $1 million worth of ADA from Project Catalyst, and the community didn't fund them. And they managed to spend all that 10 million and still didn't produce any software we can see so far. So, there is use in having a large consensus mechanism, a voting mechanism for us all to take part in, because the ADA that we are buying into, that token, that value that we see, we actually have a say in how the ecosystem gets built out. And so that was the idea with Project Catalyst, is it would be a startup project, a way to create a mass incentive for people to start voting and start contributing their thoughts and opinions and desires into how the ecosystem gets built up. And it was like a microcosm, an experiment in how then we can run the whole management of the whole chain. So that members-based organization will be taking lessons learned from Project Catalyst. It will be receiving. This is the sort of intention at the moment. Whether it plays out or not, it'll be down to public vote again. The idea is that the Genesis keys, those 7 Genesis keys, will be handed down to the members-based organization. And then the decisions about changing some of the fundamentals in the chain can actually be done by the members-based organization in collaboration with a public vote. So that's the sort of direction we're heading for in the next year. And this is sort of the Voltaire era, it's called, within Cardano. So they're really working on, let's get this robust, practical, applicable for individuals, applicable for businesses, organizations, applicable for nation states. So the ability to really be able to create consensus and agreement from a whole, ecosystem, from the individual up to largest enterprises within it, can really have a part and a say in how it gets built out, is very important. But ultimately, we want power to come from individuals, grassroots, to be feeding that up into the decisions being made and changes being made. So the decisions might be made like, okay, we want to stop funding Project Catalyst. We don't want to be giving them 20% of our transaction fees anymore. So let's just stop that as a project. It was an experiment. Kind of worked, kind of didn't. Some people did well at it. Some people didn't do so great. Has it produced all the projects that we wanted it to produce? Yeah, it's done some, but not as many as we want. So let's improve. Let's do Project Catalyst version 2. Let's stop funding that treasury and start funding the next one. And those sorts of decisions can then be made by this members-based organization and public vote mechanisms. So separate from an individual governance project like Catalyst. So that's the desire. And maybe it's the rewards that are earned by stake pool operators or by delegators. Perhaps we want to change that figure exactly. Yeah, Paul?
I was just going to ask if, obviously, you're aware that we were involved in Project Catalyst. I just wonder if Utan got any of the ADA, acknowledgement for his participation, because I never got anything in the end, not a single ADA.
Oh, really? How many projects did you review? 3, right. And was there because I know that there were new thresholds and criteria put in place this last round that weren't there before. So did they give an explanation or anything, or no? Just no news.
I've got no information or nothing. Obviously, we voted on the projects as well, but no, nothing ever came into my wallet. So
You
I
should.
did it for love.
Okay. Well, your work as a proposal assessor, there will be criteria around that. But your voting, if you voted for projects, then you should get rewarded, incentivized just for placing a vote. So that should have come to you.
Not neither of our wallets.
So
I think we got it as well. Please return here. For voting, we got some here.
you did get your rewards. Cool. So it should have appeared. You can see here in Epoch 374. So if you check your Eternl wallets, for any of the wallets you use to vote, and just double check. It'd be very odd for a payout not to work, and worth chasing up if it is a problem, because if it's affecting one, it's probably affecting hundreds of others. So it'd be worth looking into. But it might, yeah, I don't know how it could have worked otherwise. Because if you were successful in placing your vote, then you definitely should have received a voting reward at the very least, and then hopefully some proposal assessor rewards as well. Utan, did you do proposal assessment this time round?
Sorry, I didn't do proposal, but next time I'll
Yeah.
do it. But yeah, this time I think I'll be late.
Okay, yeah. So the whole proposal assessment way of working is changing slightly. So there'll probably be different rules to learn and ways to figure out how to interact. But it's getting, so there's been issues with bots being produced, because the speed of developing the artificial intelligence industry is massive, and the ability to create bots. Utan, we're feeding back a little bit, I think, because of your mic being hot. If you want to mute, thanks. So the bots and the intelligence of the bots and the ability to interact and appear as though they are humans is getting better and better all the time, and it's starting to affect, it affects social media on a massive scale, but even things like Project Catalyst it's starting to affect. So because there's an incentive mechanism within Catalyst for participating in the ecosystem, you can get ADA rewards for voting, for being a proposal assessor, for referring people to propose in Project Catalyst. All these are incentivized, so you can get paid ADA for doing those good behaviors for the ecosystem. But of course, when there's an incentive, then there's an incentive for someone to try and corrupt it. And so bots were used to run proposal assessments through and submit them. So then you could set your bot up to write an assessment of a proposal, submit that, and if it got through the veteran proposal stage, then you'd get rewarded for it. And so there was a whole load of effort, and it's always a constant battle between, someone comes up with a new technology, someone finds a way to corrupt it, and they have to improve that technology, and then they improve that slightly. And so there's this constant battle and balance within tech development. And so this last round, Project Catalyst spent a lot of time and effort in trying to defeat the bot impact on that system, and they've got a whole raft of changes coming again for Fund 10. So there'll be new rules to learn, new criteria to meet. So let's see what they are when they come out. But at the moment, yeah, we're a little bit blind to it. But if anybody's interested in it, then certainly Paul has been through the process. I haven't done proposal assessments myself now, but it's something that's good to do in collaboration with someone else. And there are several projects that, in fact, funded by Catalyst themselves in helping onboard people into proposal assessment and things like that. So the Catalyst School is one of these funded projects that onboard people. There's a really good guy in the space called Tevo as well, and he runs mini proposal workshops to actually help you write good proposals. And he's very knowledgeable and has done the proposal assessment stages as well. So there's guys out there who are very willing to, including myself, very willing to help you get on board, and there are group calls and things too. It's a huge ecosystem to get involved in if you want to do something more than just sit and learn and look prospect on the coin. But yeah, any other questions about anything that's come up in any of that? So let me just get the chat open from before. If anybody's not sure how to open up the
I have
chat.
a question, Jonathan.
Yeah, great.
My wallet is Daedalus,
Oh yeah.
and it takes me hours every time I go on Daedalus. Is Eternl easier, better, or same?
Very good question. Better and easier are two different metrics. So by running Daedalus, you're actually running a full node. So you are participating in the validation of the network. So by running a node, you're helping the blockchain itself. So you're actually you become like an operator on the blockchain. The price you pay for that is in terms of drive space. So your Daedalus wallet will probably be 150 gig of data. And so when you start it up, it downloads, so the very first time we install it, downloads the whole blockchain. And then it goes through and verifies every single transaction through the whole blockchain, re-verifies it. There are speed optimizations coming with that, but that's the way it works at the moment. And so that's why the startup time is so long, is because when you're reopening Daedalus, it will connect back to the blockchain, download all the latest transactions and verify all those transactions. And it's cryptographically verifying that those transactions are mathematically complete and proven. And so you're participating. So in that sense, Daedalus is a better wallet because you're paying for the electricity to help run the network almost by validating transactions. But in terms of easier and in terms of startup speed and convenience for you and actually making it a usable tool as opposed to the pain of sitting waiting for 20 minutes, an hour before you can actually use your wallet, then yeah, the light wallets are a far better alternative. So you have your full node wallets like Daedalus, and then you have your light wallets like Yoroi, Nami, Eternl, Giro wallet, there's Typhon, Flint. There's a whole load of wallets out there. They're all light wallets, and they don't validate transactions, but they can submit transactions. They can form and submit transactions to the network, and they can obviously read the blockchain. And so they are much quicker to start instantaneously, much lightweight code. So the one Eternl wallet is I'm using the browser extension version. So it's written in JavaScript, and just you install it like any other browser extension, and then it can actually interrogate the blockchain and create transactions and provide you a nice user interface. But yeah, effectively it's just a browser extension. So the benefits that you might get from Daedalus is if you are a heavy trader and your wallet stays open all day every day, and the thing that's most important to you is actually submitting transactions at the pinpoint moment that you prepare them really rapidly. And now if that's your working scenario, then actually Daedalus has a massive advantage because you've already got all the latest version of the blockchain down. You've got a node that's running on the blockchain that is queried by other nodes, and so any transaction you submit through your Daedalus wallet will actually be sent straight on chain without interacting with any third party. If you're using Eternl, then you're relying on the Eternl underlying infrastructure to be able to then talk to the blockchain. So there are hundreds of thousands of users of Eternl. If they're all operating at the same time because there's a crucial sale going on, or an NFT minting happening or something like that, then you're sharing all of Eternl's resources to get your transaction on chain. Whereas if it's just your computer running full Daedalus node, then it can happen straight on chain. So that's where your advantage lies. You've got a speed advantage in terms of getting transactions on chain by running Daedalus that you don't have by running a light wallet. So any of the light wallets, you'll have to be relying on someone else's infrastructure. However, to combat that, again, with a decentralized mindset, you can actually change the provider, the backend provider in your light wallets. So in Eternl, but let me get this up. In Eternl, you can go to the cog icon, and it's this large one down at the bottom left. Go to the cog icon. You can go to this custom submit API endpoint. And in there, you can change from the default one to a custom one. So the default one will use Eternl's servers, which they pay to run, and they're high-powered servers. They're really rapid. They work perfectly well, 100%, 90% of the time. Just if there's a massive amount of activity on chain, they may be slightly slower than a Daedalus node. But if you want to actually, if Eternl went down, if they disappeared as an organization, you could still use their wallet because it's a browser extension. You've actually got it sitting on your machine, the code for it, the user interface that it is. And you can change the infrastructure that it talks to by altering this submit API endpoint. So in here at the moment, I've got the Fluid 7 pool. That's the submit API endpoint for the Fluid 7 pool. So if you're a delegated to Fluid pool, you can get in touch with me and I can sort you out with access to that. And then you're relying on me as a single state pool operator. The only contention we'll have is with myself and other people who are delegated to the pool who are using this service. And that's a really good way of decentralizing the network infrastructure as well. Another alternative to that, really good one. So Paul was asking me earlier this week about about smart claims, which is a token distribution platform. And the smart claims is built by a team called Freeloaders, and Freeloaders have a mission. One of their priorities is decentralization, and so they've got this high availability, load balanced endpoint that anybody who runs a node can make their endpoint available. So as Fluid Pool, if I wanted to open up to the whole of the ecosystem, I could say, okay, my endpoint's available to use. I'm going to list it in the Freeloaders load balancer, and then anybody who uses the Eternl wallet can change their submit API endpoint to use the Freeloaders one, and then anybody in that load balancing cycle, so my pool, the next pool, the next pool, the next pool, could be the one that your transaction goes through, and so it will find the most underused node at the top point in time and use that one. And so that's a good mechanism for making sure we've got fully decentralized network infrastructure as well. So if if Eternl guys are running all their servers in Amazon cloud, and then Amazon gets an instruction from the US government to shut down operations because they've got some massive government contravene some law in the US, and so they get told to shut down operations. Then that could potentially take all the infrastructure away from that single provider of the back end for the Eternl wallet. It's not going to happen, I don't think, but this is a scenario. And so actually we've still got the ability to use the software from multiple other places as well, and that's one of the crucial factors about decentralization, is that you need to have alternative provision. So with where we have seen issues like that rise up is in Ethereum, the MetaMask wallet, which is the most popular light wallet on Ethereum, that has a over time, the team who built that have received more and more venture capital from, it goes back to Chase Bank and JP Morgan, I think, and all these sort of now Wall Street interested financial organizations are actually shareholders, massive stakeholders in the funding that's gone into the MetaMask wallet. And so they are now being forced, the MetaMask team are being forced to make decisions to keep their shareholders happy by changing some of the behavior in their wallet. So just this last month, we've seen MetaMask now change their terms and conditions to say that they have the right to track the IP address when you're using MetaMask, if you're using their default infrastructure. And their default infrastructure is Infura. So if you're using the Infura endpoints at the back in your MetaMask wallet, then your IP address could be tracked. So that is a government mandated request that's come down through, or well, that's probably where it's come down through Wall Street and the financial elite to who are shareholders in a decentralized wallet, and started to influence policy within that private organization who built that wallet. Now, if you're in the know, you can change the default parameters in MetaMask, just like I've shown you how to do in Eternl, and switch it to another provider that doesn't track IP addresses. But that's the thing we're always constantly having to fight against. Is it my data? Is my activity, or is it public property? Is it government owned? And there's all sorts of arguments for and against privacy, but ultimately we need free speech and privacy first for rights and individual freedoms to be upheld. And so our financial freedom and our financial rights is really important to be able to stop ourselves ending up in financing wars and things like that. That's what it boils down to. Is our financial activity ends up financing wars that we don't agree with. So we need to find a way to stop that. And if financial policy and monetary policy is set by grassroots people up, that's a far healthier place to be. So we need to be able to make sure that all our infrastructure, hardware, network, software is decentralized. Nobody can control a single point. And if there is a single point of failure, it's replicated so that it becomes not a single point of failure. So yeah, Cardano, obviously it's younger chain in terms of how much has been released to the public. So it's got all those sorts of things thought about. It's benefited from Ethereum's trial and errors, go fast and break things approach. It's benefited from that and be able to make slow and steady decisions and build it better, slower. So I kind of see Ethereum as the test bed, the groundbreakers, the bleeding edge, and then Cardano's come along a bit slower, a bit more steady, a bit more thoughtful, not quite as exciting. But I quite frankly don't want my finances handled by a bleeding edge, exciting chain. I want them handled by a slow and steady, thoughtful ecosystem. So yeah, that's why I'm in Cardano in particular. So yeah.
Last question. On the thing, can I then go from Daedalus to just transfer from Daedalus to Eternl?
Yes, exactly right. So one of the concepts to try and get your head around in crypto, in blockchain, is that all these wallets are merely a tool for accessing the blockchain. Your finances, your holdings, who has the right to a particular wallet is based purely on access. So if you have the keys to access and make changes to the blockchain, that's who controls the funds. And so you've set up Daedalus. When you did that, you were given a seed phrase. That seed phrase will let you recreate the wallet if you lost your computer or something. So don't lose your seed phrase. That's one of the mantras within the space. Don't lose your seed phrase. If you have that seed phrase, then you can download Daedalus again on another computer. Thanks, Ariane, no problem. So yeah, you can recreate your Daedalus installation. You can put in your seed phrase and reconnect to that wallet, and you'll be able to sign transactions and spend that money again. And so that's the power. But there's no reason to use Daedalus the second time. You can use Eternl or Nami or Yoroi, because they're all based on the same underlying tech specification protocol. And so yes, you can take your Daedalus seed phrase. You can load up Eternl. You'll use, so as you come into Eternl, in fact, let me try and create a clean one. If I do this, yeah, am I sharing the right screen still? No, sorry, switch screens. Do this one. So this is now a private browsing session within my Brave, so it doesn't have any of the storage data for my Eternl wallet stored here. Let's jump to the back to this one. Let me go to here again. Do not let me. So it looks like I can't run that in a private window. Just quickly change this. Allow in private. Oh, it says allowed to in private, so you should be able to. Okay. If I can't do it, then we'll just. Actually, I know what I can do. I can change to Chromium. Has that got it installed? Yes, cool. So if I go back to Discord, I will change which screen I'm sharing again to this one now. Oh, looks like I have a wallet, one wallet in here already. Okay, well that's fine. This is cleaner. So when you're in fact, Eric, there's the staking tutorial video, which is you can find in the welcome channel under housekeeping in this Discord server. There's a 30-minute guide to Cardano staking. In that video, it shows you how to install the Eternl browser extension, so on and so forth. So that's, you'll just go to the Google Play Store or Eternl.io and download. You'll find a link to download the browser extension. I would recommend downloading the browser extension rather than just using the web app, because on the web app, if you go to Eternl.io, then you are actually interacting with a website that's sitting on the Eternl web servers. So you can do everything here. I don't recommend it though. I recommend always to go and get the browser extension version, because then that's only operating on your machine, on your hardware. It's not using a website. It's just going from your local machine, your computer, to the blockchain infrastructure, bypassing the Eternl website. It is using the Eternl's blockchain infrastructure, but it's not using their website. So that's one less hop to secure. So use the browser extension. Once you're here, then you can you would click Add Wallet. Then for bringing your seed phrase over from Daedalus, you'll be importing an old wallet. So you click import. No, I've done it wrong. It's not import. It is restore. Yes. So it's restore a wallet. So that's the button you want. And in Daedalus, I think you're likely to have a 24-word seed phrase. So count the number of words in your seed phrase. It will be 12, 15, or 24. If you're coming from Yoroi, it'll be 15. If you're coming from Daedalus, it's normally 24. I think it's always 24, in fact. So you choose that, you click next, you then go through and type in each word from your seed phrase. And once you've finished that, it will ask you for the spending passphrase, which is like your password to be able to sign a transaction. So that's something that you want to store maybe in a password safe, because you'll be using it quite frequently. You want to make it complicated so you can't remember it offhand, but if it's in a password safe, you can do a really complicated password and just use that to type the spending passphrase in each time, and then it'll be asked how many accounts, I think the term is, within that wallet. And I always just do one account within one wallet. And so if I need to have another wallet, then I'll just create a whole new wallet and have it in this sidebar like I show you in my other one. Yeah, so go through, type in your seed, type restore, type in your seed phrase, hit type in your spending passphrase, and then choose one account. You can do multiple if you want to, but yeah, I don't see a point in doing it that way around yet. And then you should be done. Then you should have all your wallets being able to sign transactions, see all your assets from Daedalus, but in Eternl. Is that clear? Does that cover you?
So, Jonathan, so what that means is that you've not actually moved anything from one wallet to another. It's a means of viewing your information from a different wallet again. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, you're dead right. So it's
Right.
if you think of it.
So the wallet isn't fixed. It's you can switch wallets.
Yeah.
To view your data on any blockchain.
Yeah, it's like a user interface onto what's actually happening
right
on the blockchain.
Yeah. That makes more sense. Yeah.
So like if you got mobile banking on your phone and you drop your phone down a drain, you can buy a new phone, you can load up the banking app, sign in, and you'll have access to your bank account still. It's that sort of scenario. You can change wallets. So or if your HSBC app needs an update, it goes and downloads version 2 of the app, and it's just accessing the actual banking data, which is held by HSBC, rather than all being stored on your phone. Same thing with the blockchain. Everything's stored on the blockchain, and your Eternl wallet or your Nami wallet are just user interfaces, bits of software that allow you to interact with the wallet. The crucial point is that seed phrase. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Sorry, I'm having problems with my sound button.
Okay, cool.
It will, if as just mentioned, the information will be on the blockchain, but easy accessible through Eternl after.
Yes. Yeah.
I've put Daedalus now on my ledger.
Right. Okay.
Would I do that also after with Eternl, or not necessary?
So the
You see, I'm not a heavy user.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't actually have a hardware wallet myself yet either. So I don't interact with the light wallets using a hardware wallet, and I haven't seen how to do that. So Daedalus I know definitely works with hardware wallets, which you've proven. So whether you can get the same functionality, I'm not sure. So here, pair connect to hardware wallet to access your funds. Now whether that is a full-blown Ledger, it looks like it is full-blown Ledger integration rather than using Ledger Live or something. So
yeah, you can interface with it. Luke has done a presentation. It's just actually going back to Tuesday morning, or Monday night, one of his presentations, and he shows how to use a ledger with it, with a Eternl. I'm sure he does.
Awesome. Okay, so that was worth finding. Yeah, keeping as a reference point. That'd be really good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So in fact, I'm researching Ledger hardware wallets again at the moment, and Dinesh, you were asking about the Ngrave.
Yeah, Ngrave 0. Yeah.
Ngrave 0. Yeah.
I did an installation first time round because I bought it a while back. I only just started to do an installation. On the first attempt, it didn't have the ADA on it, so they've asked me to update the software on it. So that's where I am at the moment. But I'm not sure if anybody else has used Ngrave with ADA.
No, I did ask in another call as well to see if anybody in that part of the community had it, and yeah, nobody's using it with Ada yet. Looking on the website, I can see that they didn't support it from the website, but the website can be out of date. So if have they said that the Ada will be sorted in the software update?
I've not received the response yet, but today I'm going to attempt to update the firmware, and then it says there may be new additional coins added to the list, so I'll check.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm sure that it won't be long if they don't do it yet, because the sort of pressure on the hardware wallets, making sure they're up to speed with Cardano is getting stronger by the minute. There was a new wallet had a launch from Ledger just this last couple of days.
Ledger Stax.
In Ledger Stax, yeah, and that looks really interesting. So I think I'll probably.
I think that's really good. That actually, that looks from the promotion video and chat that I've seen, it looks really forward-looking and easy interface.
Yeah, it looks like it's using the e-ink technology, which is used on Kindles. So permanently lit screens, so you don't have to power them, and you can always see what's on there. And it's like a touchscreen interface, so much bigger interface to work with, which is going to become more and more important as my eyes continually start failing. My arms get shorter.
not the only one.
Yeah. And so yeah, that looks a very interesting device. So if anybody's in the market, I might suggest that to my family as a stocking filler. Luca was talking about.
It's
oh gosh,
£241 on the website for pre-order.
240, okay, yeah. I think that's cheaper than the Ngrave still, isn't it? But it's not cheap.
No, it's not.
Our Ledger was $230, I think.
$230, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Got the Nano X.
Yeah, because I think like the cheapest ones are sort of $50 range, aren't they? Which is very affordable and very sensible. So I probably should have done that before, but
yeah.
They keep bringing out newer, slicker looking devices, got a bit more functionality, and I think, I'll just hold on for one of those, But we've got to bear in mind that in all likelihood we're going to see 10x ADA, in the next bull run. We're 90% down from where we were just a year ago, so the next bull run it's going to hit back where it was and probably a bit more. So whatever we spend now, even though it feels like a lot on a hardware wallet to secure our holdings, actually it doesn't take you holding much ADA to think about its value 10 times that, to then think, okay, well, that's a proportion of my spend going on securities, a very sensible purchasing decision. So yeah, I'll be certainly looking to buy one in the next month or so, I think. So with the bulk of my funds, I have an alternative cold storage that I use, which is an air-gapped laptop. So it's a computer with no interconnection, no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi anymore, and then I will form my transactions, sign my transactions. Sorry, I'll form my transactions on a on-chain, on-network computer, and then I'll transfer those transactions on USB stick to my air-gapped computer, which has the ability to sign the transactions with my private keys, and then I'll bring the USB stick back as a signed transaction, which I'll then execute on chain. And so this is one of the really great features about Cardano, and others do it too, is that you don't have to be online to form your transactions and to sign your transactions. They can then be executed after the fact. And even when you're forming and signing the transactions, you can set the time up until which that transaction is allowed to be executed. So it's like the ability to write a check and date it as only valid up to a certain point in time. I sort of think of it like that, which is, powerful mechanism. And then you've got the ability to do things like multi-signatures as well. So that's one of the things we're using at the moment for this opportunity DAO we're starting up to manage an investment opportunity. Is that we'll have a multi-signature wallet. So when we are participating in a bulk purchasing deal, we can individually send monies into this wallet, but no one person will be able to spend what's in there. And so when you're working with a multi-signature transaction, you can have, say, 5 people, 3 of whom, a minimum of 3 need to be able to sign it. And so that transaction signing key will have 3 different private keys that need to sign it. And so it can be passed around between each key holder. They can sign their part, they can sign their part, and then it gets pulled together into a single transaction and actually submitted on chain. And so this ability to compose your transactions is really powerful and really flexible, and gives you, everything we can do with, current financial systems, but actually in a much more granular and decentralized way. The ability to bring everybody into transactions is very cool, very powerful, and without having to go to a bank and hand over your passport to be able to add yourself to a multi-signature account is very useful. A lot, for dealing with banks at the moment and mortgages and stuff like that, and it's the most convoluted, archaic system in the world. So inconvenient. Yeah.
Especially as in the UK. In New Zealand, you can do a purchase of a property within a week and have the mortgage sorted out within 7 days.
Well, I'm 6 months in to getting an agreement in principle. Still sitting with solicitors, to and fro over. So, there we go. Right. So other things to talk about. We started to touch on it there. Was actually we have an announcement for Fluid Pool is in the process of being accepted as a partner pool for the Astarter project. Astarter is a development team building on Cardano, who have received funding from Emergo. As you know, you've got Emergo, Cardano Foundation, and IOG, who are the 3 big stakeholders in the Cardano ecosystem, and they hold those Genesis keys that I was talking about at the beginning. So Emergo, the enterprise arm, have backed this development team to build out a decentralized exchange, a launch pad for token launches, a tech service which will be things like oracles, and then a money market, which will be for creating lending and borrowing systems. So a full DeFi suite of products being built up by this team, and they had a private testnet back in February, and then they did a public beta on the testnet. Then this is for their launchpad project, and that will be coming onto mainnet in January. They're also doing their token generation event in January as well, and they're not using it really as a way to raise funds for their development, because they've already started developing and got things going, launching on mainnet at the same time as they do their token generation. It's much more of a marketing, social engagement type activity. So in my mind, I prefer that approach than to actually funding an unknown product team in developing something out from scratch. I'm happy to do that in small amounts with accountability, but for something as large as a launchpad, a DEX, and a money market, and all these sorts of large scale infrastructure on a technically challenging platform, you need millions of dollars to be able to make a good job of it. And I don't want to be funding that. I'd rather be funding, something more bite-sized. But this way, they've had that funding already. They've got the code to release, and they're doing a token generation event. So I am interested in them, in their platform. I think they will do well because they've got this Emurgo backing. They're engaging with the community really well. I've been back and watching videos, and so by joining them as a partner pool, then we'll have access to additional bonus rewards. So as well as the ADA that you'll be earning by delegating to Fluid Pool, you'll also start earning AA tokens. As an additional to being a partner pool, we have the opportunity to buy into their token launch. So if you do your due diligence on the Astarter team, on the project, on the services that they're looking to offer, and think it's a worthwhile investment for you to make, then you can partake in that opportunity. We are looking to sort of wrap up this initial investment into it in the next, by sort of Thursday next week. We're hoping to have everything together. We'll sign an agreement with the Astarter team. We will hand over we'll be paying them in ADA for a specific allocation of tokens in return, and that opportunity is open to everybody who delegates to Fluid Pool. So if you want to be part of that, then give me a direct message on Discord, and we'll get you on board. So there's a token launch in January, along with their mainnet launch of their Launchpad platform. They have a merged staking reward program. So at the moment they're running an ISPO. This is where a project team will run, and this sort of version 1 or stage 1 of their ISPO, they're running a stake pool themselves, which is on chain. I think that's called AA1. Is their stake pool? I think that's right. It's a single stake pool, but they manage it. So when that is saturated, I don't know whether they're going to launch any more after that. I think not, because they're very conscious that running single pool is far better than running multiples in terms of decentralization. And then they will distribute their AA tokens to everybody who's staked to their pool, but they will take all of the ADA rewards at the moment. So if you stake with AA, they will take all of the ADA and give you AA tokens instead. So you'll be benefiting from getting access to their token, but you'll be losing your ADA rewards in the meantime. The second stage of their ISPO is to involve community pools, so all their partner pools and associate pools. If you're staking with one of those, then you'll be able to get the AA tokens as well as your existing ADA rewards. So that's where we'll come in. You'll be able to you can buy into their token generation event if you so choose. If you don't, just by staking with Fluid Pool, you'll get access to AA tokens for free, effectively, in time too. So that's a good bit of news for the pool. We'll get an article written about us and put onto their Medium blogging platform. So that'll be a bit of exposure for the pool. So hopefully we can attract even more delegation. We've got 48 delegated wallets at the moment, which is good. We're on a steady climb, hoping for it to go hockey stick shaped at some point, but very happy with where we are. The total stake with the pool is about 124 at the moment, 24,000 ADA, to be minting every 5 days, which is where we want to get to as sort of basics. Then we'll need about 1.1 million ADA staked, and I've got a shortcut to that coming up, which I still haven't signed the agreement on it yet, but I've got a shortcut to that, so that's exciting news coming up soon. A bit of a teaser. Other news is I've been working for the past probably a year now with the GimbaLabs team. GimbaLabs is a set of developers who are building out distributed network infrastructure for the Cardano blockchain in Dandelion. The funding for that come from Project Catalyst. They also run an education, several education programs called project-based learning. The guys in the team have been through the Plutus Pioneers program, so they've been trained by IOG themselves, and now they're now running education courses, practical, hands-on ways of building out software using Plutus, which is a language that that is the sort of Cardano specialized subset of Haskell, which is a general purpose programming language. And so they train people on that, and as part of their operations, I've been sitting on the board that's been working on their tokenomics for their token. So their token is the Gimbal token, and I've been heading up the second phase of their ISPO effectively. So from next week, I've loosely been promised we will have token rewards, bonus rewards for staking to Fluid Pool of the Gimbal tokens. So you'll start seeing those Gimbal tokens turn up in your wallets from, you'll be able to go and collect them from the Smart Claims platform. I'll give you an exact heads up, but it's supposed to be coming next week. So I imagine, but the week after at the latest, which is very, very cool. So that Smart Claims platform is one that we chose specifically because they are very much decentralized minded. The team behind them, Freeloaders, are the guys that also do the decentralized load balanced wallet endpoints. That's very aligned with the way that Dandelion works in the Gimbal team, in the Gimbal projects. And so there are several people who are running Freeloaders Submit API wallet endpoints, as well as will be operating Dandelions, have operated Dandelion nodes in the past, including myself, and will be in the future. So yeah, there's a lot of really good cross-pollination there of like-minded individuals with it, decentralization as the mindset. So you'll be getting Gimbal tokens. Soon you'll be getting the ability to collect Gimbal tokens from the Smart Claims platform. And the Smart Claims platform also has a bonus over, for example, drip drops, in that you don't have to go back every 5 days to pick up your tokens. They will accumulate epoch to epoch until you go and pick them up. So it might be that you just hold off and go and get them every month or every quarter, every 6 months. I can't remember what the actual length is that they accumulate for, but then you can go and grab them all at once. So you're only paying a single transaction fee to collect multiple epochs worth of bonus rewards. And so within that, you'll have that's the way you'll be able to get the Gimbal tokens. And then also we'll have the additional bonus rewards when that launches for the OGs in the stake pool. So if you are delegated, if you're delegated to Fluid Pool and have worked through the full process of registering on Discord and then registering your staked wallet with Discord as well, then that makes you that gives you access to some private channels on the Discord server and access to some exclusive token launches that I run and I'm interested in, and I do in collaboration with others in the community. We've got a Genius Shield opportunity happening from today, so I need to catch up with you guys who are interested in that today. I'll detail that in a second, and then we've got bonus rewards coming out and NFTs coming out for those original OG delegators as well. And then at the same time, we'll have ongoing bonus rewards for everybody else that's delegated to. So lots of things happening at the moment. It's all coming at once, which is difficult to manage. But yeah, exciting times for the pool. So it's good. So you guys who excuse me, who are already gone through that process and are looking to get involved in the Genius Shield private token sale. So we're getting a slightly better rate than the public sale. The public sale opens up on the 19th, I think it is. So that way anybody can go in and buy their tokens if you're interested. If you want it at a slightly reduced rate, then if you're a delegated fluid pool and go through all that Discord process in the video chat, then you can come and talk to me. We've got a slight extension on the last chance we have to buy these tokens, but I plan to do that by Wednesday next week. We'll make that purchase. So if you want to buy into that, then give me a direct message on Discord. Send your however much ADA you want to invest into buying these gens tokens. Send that to the wallet address, which I've posted in the Stakers Only channel, or I will make sure it's posted in there. And then I will use that ADA to purchase the Genius Shield token, and then get that distributed out as soon as they arrive back in that wallet. So yeah, the purchase price we have is 0.75. Oh, I lost all my figures. Yeah, 0.75. Is that what I said? Thanks, Paul. And the public sale will be at 0.85. So yeah, a bit of a discount. The Genius Yield project as a whole. So just as I was talking about Astarter and becoming a partner pool with them, which I'm very excited about, the Genius Yield and Astarter have backing from Emergo. The Genius Yield team have backing from IOG in effect. So one of the core developers in that team is Lars Brynjers, who ran the Plutus Pioneers program. He's a chief educator in IOG. He also has this side project of the Genius Shield platform, and they again are building out decentralized exchange, and they've already got their launch pad on mainnet. So that's how they're using their own, their dog fooding, as we call it in the industry. They're using their own software to launch their own token, and they're working with some startup teams already. There's 5 who are offering their token at the moment through an ICPO. They'll then also be able to go and collect them from the launchpad shortly after the Genius Shield token gens, which is happening at the moment. The first round finished last night. The second round, which we have access to, opens up today. I think it's at midday, or 1 UTC. So then we can get started. And one of the interesting things about the Genius Shield guys is that they really know and understand the UTXO model, which is the big differentiator between Cardano and Ethereum. Ethereum's like an accounting-based model. Cardano is a UTXO model, an unspent transaction output model. And there are certain benefits you get with that. The Genius Shield team are experts on UTXO. And so one of the sort of strong features, UTXO itself comes from the Bitcoin world, so Bitcoin's built like that. And one of the sort of strong ways that UTXO kind of leans you towards is fairness and decentralization, just by some, I don't know whether it's fate or something, but that's the way it sort of makes you lean. So they've built out their launchpad platform. Anybody who partakes in a funding round, early access, reduced fees, reduced price, then they don't have a first come first serve process, which is what would be typically needed in an accounting model, but they have a round based model. So if you get into that round, then and put in so much ADA to buy, then it's not first come first served. You've got that period to actually make your purchase in, so nobody misses out. But then if that round is oversubscribed, so more people put in a purchase than they're actually able to fulfill, they will just reduce what everybody can actually buy a little bit, so that everybody gets some. So it creates a sort of fair approach to token launches, and I really like that. I was like, to begin with, I was like, oh, that sounds a bit odd, but actually, no, I really like that idea because it just means that there's no rush, there's no mass congestion caused by their token launch. It's all done in a really fair, equitable process, which is, the best way to do things. We don't want a money grab. We want a money distribution, and that's what they're doing. Their token launches like their launch pad. So yeah, very confident in the Gens token doing well, and so that's an opportunity that I personally am buying into, but no advice here, just opinions. Cool. So, any other questions you want covered to do with that in particular, or any of the other deals that we've got going on at the moment? Everybody know what they're doing for the deals that you are participating in, whether it's joining the Astarter deal. So one thing I have mentioned is that actually the Astarter opportunity is forming a DAO around it, so a decentralized autonomous organization. A DAO is a new structure for like-minded people to get together with a common goal, a common desire, and so this DAO is forming around this initial opportunity to for the AA token and the Astarter opportunity. We're going to buy in together collectively to that. And we'll have this multi-signature wallet that we can all use as the interface to these deals and offerings. And if you want to participate in that DAO, you're very welcome. If you want, at this point in time, access to it is restricted to people who want to take part in this initial deal. But over time, we think it's going to evolve and grow into something. And there's actually a separate Discord server that's not affiliated or centralized around Fluid Pool, so that a DAO it's important that it's not centralized at all. So it's not just tied to me. It's not just tied to IAW, the investment group, or any single entity. It is, if you're a member of that DAO, then you have as much say as everybody else. And that's how it's starting and intends to go on. So if you want to partake in that, then you're very welcome, and you can again ask ask me or ask any of the guys around here, pretty much, who know a bit about it, and you can get an invite into that group too. It's a separate Discord server called Opportunity DAO. Yes.
Sorry, Jonathan. What platform has the DAO been created on? It's just my curiosity. I was on Roger's Entrepreneur Summit last week, and he was talking about I think they're called Aragon, and that's who I think they're considering creating the Genius U sort of DAO on. So I was just curious to know what this one will be on.
Yeah, I think Aragon is Ethereum based, and I am all about Cardano, so and Luca is as well.
No, I didn't realize Aragon was Ethereum based.
So
yeah,
and I think the sort of Aragon deal is that they come with a whole load of shortcuts and benefits. The work's being done. It's a more mature DAO infrastructure, so it's got lots of advantages. So it makes sense. Here we're starting very small. We're not the size of Genius U. We don't have that kind of we're not floating on the New York Stock Exchange or anything like that. So it's much more grassroots, much simpler. So the DAO tools that will be, so the first DAO tool we're using is the multi-signature wallet, and the guys that built the implementation that we're using actually are releasing additional DAO tooling over the next few months. They formed a DAO themselves called ADAO, and they've released the first sort of DAO tools, community DAO tools that are widely used in Cardano. They've got Summon, which is their sort of company that's a spin-off from that, who they're the team that will be building out subsequent DAO tool sets. They've got a great mindset in terms of everything they produce is open source, and well vetted. I imagine at some point they'll be paying for audits from private audit teams as well, but that will be done as a DAO, I imagine. And so we're starting with their rounds table multi-sig wallet, just because it's got a user interface at the moment. You can do all these things from the command line as well, but we want it to be public and usable by everybody in the DAO. So we're using this user interface. And then we are looking around at the moment at various sort of DAO contracts. So in people's minds at the moment, a DAO is based on smart contracts. So your sort of constitution is written into a smart contract and put on chain. So decisions being made have all got thresholds. If the threshold is the consensus, the vote mechanism reaches that threshold, then certain actions are played out. And so there are a whole load of questions to ask before you get to that stage and really building things out. So initially, we're just saying, these are with the few people that are in it now, these are how we're going to operate together, and then we will work together to create a constitution, if you like, on how we will go forward from there, and then we'll look for the best tools that will meet the needs that we have in terms of what we want to achieve. So yeah, I'm much more about organic growth rather than buying something off shelf. So yeah, we'll probably be looking at the summon tools, evaluating those as they come out. But there are a whole load of different DAO-based organizations, focused organizations and projects teams around the ecosystem that I've been talking to in workshops with. GimbaLabs are building DAO tools in reality. Newman, Lanier, who participates in GimbaLabs Playground, he ran a workshop this week that I was in around DAO tooling. I've got there's whole spreadsheets of data around DAO tools just within the Cardano community that have been built out and being evaluated by the communities at the moment, various communities at the moment. So there's certainly plenty of things out there that we can get our teeth into and start to use. But the idea is to bespoke this thing, to make it do exactly what we want it to do. And the sort of probably the first most important thing after we've got this multi-sig wallet going is a voting mechanism. And there's so we've got the Hazelnet bot on the Discord server, which you've interacted with already. That has the ability to interact with Voter, which is a on-chain voting mechanism. So we'll in all likelihood we'll be able to write a voting proposal. We'll be able to paste that into a Discord channel, and then we'll be able to have votes from Discord actually being registered on chain, and the conditions for reaching the threshold for consensus to be reached for us to go ahead with something will be written into it at the start, and then the voter will hold a record of it on chain, and so we'll know, all public, accessible, immutable, exactly what decisions were made and where we're going. So the idea is really to build out, to empower everybody to participate as much as they want to, whether that's proposing, whether that is voting, or whether it's just to lurk and buy into purchasing opportunities. All these positions are worthwhile positions to take in a DAO. So yeah, exciting times. And so the first,
Jonathan.
Yeah.
No, that's good. No, that's really good for my education about DAOs. Actually, is how they work and how they're built. Thank you.
Yeah, and then really the history of DAOs is still writing itself. So what we do now will be how a DAO works, whatever that is, almost, because DAOs have not existed for more than, in terms of interacting with smart contracts, they've not existed for more than a year, something like that. So in the scheme of history, that's a tiny fragment of time to decide how anything works, let alone a new form of organization.
How many people have we got in the DAO at the moment?
So there were 24 people have shown expression of interest in that first opportunity with Astarter. So it'll be, you know, there or thereabouts as the beginning, as a starting point for the DAO. So yeah, quite cool.
Great, thanks.
And I guess you know, so our the signatories on the multi-sig wallet, we can probably scale that up in relation to overall how many people are in the DAO, because obviously there's 25 people in the DAO, and it takes 3 out of 5 people to sign a transaction in the wallet. That seems like a good proportion. If we've got 20,000 people in the DAO, we probably want a few more people involved. So we'll just, you know, we'll adjust those parameters. We'll talk about it. We'll make a decision and move on and form our rule set as we go. And then as we've verbalized and worked out mechanisms and ways of working, then we'll formalize them and put them into code, put those on chain, and that will be the DAO tools, the DAO contracts that get written and executed over time. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's everything's an experiment. It may, you know, turn into the next nation, you know, a network state, and will be as powerful as Facebook, or it might fizzle away to nothing in 6 months' time. So be optimistic, but don't be don't be too nervous. Cool. Well, we've hit 11 o'clock, so I think we'll wrap up there. Unless anybody's got any final questions, and of course, as ever, very welcome to write them in the chat, and we'll pick them up in the week. But yeah, that's.
I did see one thing on Google. It made mention that Midnight had a back door, so obviously all the scaremongers were winding people up.
Yeah. I know, it's incredible, isn't it? The first bit of, you know, Midnight is announced. The first bit of press, Midnight has a back door. It's like, quick, write the worst thing you can possibly think of about something that's been launched on Cardano, just because that's the attitude. And it's all those little signals that just make me more and more confident that we're onto something here. Because you know, if the mainstream media is that threatened by it that they have to hammer it down so hard, then it means it is either all corrupted, which, you know, I've yet to find any corruption, or it's world changing tech that we're dealing with here, and I'm very much leaning towards the latter. So yeah, great to be on this journey with you all. Cool. Okay, well, any questions, DM me on Discord, and if not, I'll speak to you all next week. Next week will probably be our last session before Christmas, and then we'll start again in the new year. Yeah, great. I'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Jonathan.
All right.
Take care, all.
Thanks,
you.
Jonathan.
Thanks.
And have a good weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep mending,
You're
Archie.
welcome.
See you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.